In this video, I'm going to be talking about the spiritual concept of twin flames. There's a lot of this on YouTube, and it's kind of crazy. I've listened to some of these videos just out of curiosity, and I think it's a deception. I think it's crazy. If you're a spiritual person, let's say, okay, there's a big difference between you believing that a certain person is meant to be with you, as in God wants to put two people together, versus a twin flame concept. It's not even close to being the same. Twin flame concept, you have things like reincarnation, past lives, which is false. You have things like one soul split into two, going in two different bodies, and a twin flame, like you unite into one person, so you're not actually one whole person, but you're half a person, which is impossible. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, if everyone has a twin flame and everyone was created with a twin flame, then that would mean when you take the whole population of the earth, there should be exactly the same amount of females as there are males at any given time. Now, I don't do statistics, but I don't think that's true. It's not everyone gets married. Some people are single. Some people don't want to get married. So it doesn't, there's a lot of ways that it doesn't make sense. The other part is the reincarnation. I could do a different video on that. Doesn't make sense because if you have so many people and then they keep reincarnating, how come over time the population gets bigger and bigger? Why are new people added into the pool? That doesn't add up. You know, how can someone be created and then come back? And then how many times are they coming back and for what reason? And then how are new people added? And maybe some drop off. None of it makes sense. Can't be proven. Basically, if you take it from a biblical standpoint, you're created. God knows you before He knit you together, but basically in your mother's womb. So He knows you. You're created once, and when you die, then there's the judgment. That's it. There is no reincarnation. There's no recycling, because that would be basically recycling. And there's no twin flames, because it takes how you're created and it puts a twist in it that can't be possible. That you're created as one soul and you're split apart somehow into two different bodies. That doesn't even make any sense. Doesn't make logical sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so I don't know why there's so much of this stuff now, this new age. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think there's a lot of people that have failed relationships, or they don't have a relationship. And for those people that want to be in one, that, I guess, if they're in a failed relationship or they're not in a relationship and that's what they really want and that's what they're focusing on, that's the most important thing, then I would guess that would be a weakness. I don't say it's a weakness, but it's a weakness in the sense as in the devil would use that against you, and or people that are predators would use that against you. So it's a weakness in that sense. And the thing is, with that, it's normal. Like, if you want to be married, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to really watch who you get married to, because it is, ideally, this isn't an ideal world, but ideally, it's a lifetime commitment. And if you pick the wrong person, you're in for a lot of pain, and it's not worth it. So, you really need to choose wisely. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of ways to go around this that I want to point out. So basically, predators, people that are predators, and the devil will use your weaknesses against you. And being so in want or need of a love relationship to the point where you're willing to trade reality for a fantasy world, it is part of it. It's a trap, basically. It's a trap. And if you watch some of these videos and you read the comments, you can see the same thing over and over and over. And none of it's positive. None of it really seems real. It's not positive. It's not good. I think I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something else. Okay, so that's that part. Okay, the other part with the predator thing. Okay. The devil likes to counterfeit things. He takes something that God made that's good, and he'll put a twist in it and make a counterfeit. Something that is not good, something that may look good on the surface, but as they say, all that glitters isn't gold. It's not good, and it's a deception, it's a trap, and if you fall for it, you're going to pay the price at the other end. Okay, I think the twin flame thing is one of those things. Because it's portrayed as this perfect union. You're supposed to mirror the other person. It's a perfect union. Yet at the same time, the characteristics of it does not reflect a perfect union. For example, I'll just throw things out that I've picked up on these videos. The twin flame thing where you have one person's a runner and one's a chaser. Well, I guess that dynamic is kind of true in some instances, in even regular relationship. But basically that would be under the category of unrequited love, which means you want someone and they don't want you. So you're the chaser, you want that person because you're chasing them, and the person that's running away from you or ignoring you or rejecting you doesn't want you. Unless they got some ulterior reason they're acting that way, I would say they don't want you. Because if they did want you, they wouldn't treat you that way. So they don't want you, and instead of taking it as in what it is, that they don't want you, you're taking it and giving it that they really do want you, but they're not manifesting that they want you in the real world, which I guess is the 3D, third dimension, but in the 5D, in the, I will call it the pretend world, they do want you. So you have this dual reality that you're dealing with all the time. You're dealing with the real reality that you see every day and that you feel every day, that hurts you, that can destroy your life, that can screw with your head, and then you're taking this alternate fantasy reality that is dependent on what you wish was true, that you cannot prove in reality. I don't care how many people say whatever, you can't prove it. You may want it to be, it's like wishful thinking basically. You could wish something is, wishing something doesn't make it so, okay? So it kind of blurs that line of reality and fantasy, and that's not good for you, like mentally, because if you can't distinguish between reality and fantasy, how are you going to deal with anything? How are you going to survive? You can't. You have to be grounded in reality. There's a lot of things in reality you might not like, but it's better to be grounded in reality and to not like certain aspects of your reality than to default to a fantasy life that isn't real, that maybe you're using as an escape and or a way to cope with the reality that you don't like. So I think that's what's really behind this twin flame thing. It's people that don't or had bad relationships or in a bad relationship, don't have a relationship, and want this perfect union that they haven't realized in real life, and so they develop this fantasy. Now more on this other part with this differences 3D reality and the 5D. Okay, so it's like what they're basically telling you is how the person's treating you isn't based on how they really feel about you, which really doesn't make any sense, because notwithstanding if people have problems or argue from time to time, or have issues, because every relationship, if you're in a relationship, every relationship has ups and downs. Nothing is the same all the time, nothing's perfect all the time, but overall there are certain things you don't do if you really love somebody. And I don't care if you want to, you can put a label, twin flame, it doesn't matter, it doesn't make sense. Okay, first of all, abandonment. I don't believe that's real love. If someone abandons you, especially if someone abandons you when you need them the most, that's usually what narcissists will do. And those people don't love anyone but themselves. So I don't believe that's an indication of love. I really don't. Now, it could be true that someone could maybe love you and have some kind of problem, a mental problem, a situational problem where they can't be with you. But you would think that they would be upfront about that, or maybe not, depending. Or someone could be insecure, that could be true. But overall, I would have to say, if someone really, really, really loved you, they would not reject you, they would not abandon you, they would do what they could to be with you, and if they couldn't be with you, they would let you know why they can't be with you, and they would be working towards a solution so they could be with you. That's what I really think if someone really, 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 really loves you. If not, then they're full of crap. It's just words. Love is not a word. Love is what you do. Love is who you are. And who you are is reflected more so in what you do than just mere words. The words have to match the actions. Okay, because if you're just basing things on words and not the actions that go with it, then you're prime pickings for all the narcissists and con artists out there. So that's the main thing that should send up red flags for anybody falling into this twin flame trap, because how the so-called your twin flame is treating you doesn't match the reality of how someone would treat you if they really did love you. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of these people, I guess they just wait around and wait around and wait around. I don't know. You know, it is possible that for a person to love somebody, it's not returned. That does happen. It's called unrequited love. And unfortunately, in that case, you can't have nothing unless both sides are in agreement. So to hold on to that is not healthy for you. It's just not good. And in some ways, I think that twin flame thing, it promotes that, for you to hold on to. I think it promotes for you to hold on to an illusion that your unrequited love is going to be requited sometime in the future. It also could have you holding on to an abusive, self-centered, narcissist type person that likes to play games and do the hot and cold and drop you like a hot potato and come back and recycle you and all that. A lot of that is narcissist type behavior, just plain out abuse, by hurting you, by doing things like rejecting you, getting third parties involved, dumping you for someone else, cheating, that kind of disappearing like that, what they call the ghosting thing. All that stuff is abusive. You know, a person like that, if that's all the person has to give you, they don't really have anything to offer. They're not really in a position to be in a relationship, as in like a marriage relationship that ideally lasts your lifetime. They don't have what it takes because they don't understand real love and commitment. And I don't believe they love anybody, but if they do, it's very superficial at best. But I think what it really is just phony. It's not real. So I don't know. I think this twin flame thing is dangerous, and there's a lot of it out there. And like I said, if you listen to the videos just out of curiosity and read the comments, they're kind of all the same. It's very similar circumstances. And a lot of it seems basically it's like an unrequited love thing where someone loves somebody and the other person doesn't, and they're chasing after the person and the person keeps rejecting them, and maybe they stop chasing, then the other person starts chasing, but it's still not right. It's not love, because why would you play games like that if you love somebody? Why would you be fooling around like that? Like, either you love somebody or you don't. Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. So I just basically think this is just a warning for anybody that thinks this is real. Analyze it a little deeper and think, well, does this make sense? I mean, if you really love someone, would you do that? Would you treat someone like that? And then, is that what you want? Because you think about it, if someone shows you a pattern of them not being able to commit or stick around when the going gets tough, how are you going to be like married to that person and with them for a lifetime? Because do you think that if you get married to this person, no matter how wonderful you think they are and how wonderful they think you are, you think you're never ever going to have a problem and nothing's ever going to come up? And do you want to risk your life with somebody that is going to dump you when you need them the most? I mean, it's just not good. It's not a good idea, because you're opening yourself up to something that really going to hurt you. And that's the other part too. If you keep going after something that's not working and you keep getting hurt, that's long term, it's not good for a person. And some people, they become suicidal from this. And that's what the devil wants, right? He wants to have you deceived and think wrongly and choose wrongly and basically self-destruct. So you need to be up on this and know what's really behind all this, and just stay away from it, because it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, bottom line is, let's say you really believe this person's meant to be with you or something. Well, if that was true, then you would see some evidence of that in reality. And if you don't, I think the best thing to do is to work on just letting that go, forgetting about it. And, if God really wanted to put two people together, what's going to stop him? He's God, right? He can do whatever he wants. So he's going to, other than, everyone has free will. If you're meant to be with someone, God's going to put you together somehow. So you don't need to do anything. You shouldn't need to do anything. And playing these games of push and pull is ridiculous. Also, the other part is, I think another theme on this twin flame is they tell you to, you're supposed to work on yourself or something. Everything is about this self. That's the other part I don't like about this new age, is everything is self. Work on yourself, love yourself, accept yourself, self. Too much self is not good. When you're self-absorbed, how can you work on yourself to be able to be with someone else? I mean, how would you know how much work that was done? Have you done enough work? How much work do you have to do to qualify for this? it doesn't make sense, because no matter how much you work on yourself, you're always going to have imperfections. You could be 99% perfect and you still got the 1%. So I think doing that, it's kind of like you're working for some love as a reward. That doesn't work that way. Love basically is given as a gift. It's based on, more so on the person giving the love, not the one receiving it. You know, it's kind of like God loves us, and there's nothing we can do to earn that love. We can't ever be good enough to deserve His love. He gives it because of who He is, because God is love. You see, that's the thing. That's how I see it. If someone loves you, it's because they want to. It's because that's a reflection on who they are. It's not so much that you have perfected yourself enough to deserve it. So I think that's another thing that's deception too, is it's basically blaming a person. If someone else doesn't love you, it's blaming yourself, that you must not be good enough yet or enlightened enough, and that's why the person's not coming to you. In actuality, you could be a really decent person and someone doesn't love you because they just don't love you, because they don't. Maybe they don't like your personality. Maybe they're a jerk. Maybe they're selfish. Maybe they're a narcissist. Maybe the devil has sent them into your life to cause havoc and try and destroy you. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why a person doesn't love you. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that you have to work on yourself. I don't think so. I mean, not everyone's going to love everybody or like everybody, so whatever. Anyways, I think that's about it. And the only other thing I would add to is you have to think of what's these things that are on the YouTube. What's the motivation behind a lot of these things? It's like money. And the reason I say that is there's a few of them that if you listen to stuff and that, and then after they will, it's kind of like it's kind of like they give you a preview of something, and then if you want to hear the rest of it, you have to pay for it. I never seen that before, but anyways, there's just one or two. I was just, like I said, just listening to some of this stuff to see what it's all about, and there's this one person that you're supposed to click on this link or something to hear the rest of what they have to say, and then you have to pay for it. So isn't it kind of obvious why they're doing it? They're doing it for money. You know? So that's their motive. So you have to think about it. You know, it's really evil, but that's what these people are doing. They are basically telling you what you want to hear, and they're making money off of you. So they're predators, because what they're doing is they're taking a need that you have, which they see as a weakness, and they're preying upon that to make money. And really think about, how is that a legitimate job? Is that a legitimate job? Making videos on YouTube saying pretend make-believe stuff, telling stories, basically fantasy stories, and charging people money for that. I mean, if you like fantasy stories, I mean, you could go to the library. I mean, some of them you have to pay, but where I am, they used to charge for library cards, and now they're free, I guess, because they're trying to promote literacy. You can go to any library, or even online, I guess, and get books and read them. There's your story. Why would you give someone like this person charging like what, almost $50? So for you to fill you full of some bullshit that it's never going to happen, and then maybe you can't afford it, and then it could become, you know, some of this could become like an addiction, because you get into this and you're obsessing over this person and you want this stuff to happen, and then you keep listening to stuff and over and over and over, and then you listen to these people, and then you keep, some of these people even can make videos every day just telling you fantasy stories. That's all they're really doing. And you listen to it, and then you click on this link, and then they're getting you for what, $50 a pop. I mean, think how much they're making. If they're making $50 and they have no overhead because all they're doing is just making a video and talking, which is basically free other than their time. So if they make okay, if they get 2 suckers a day, other than if they claim, I don't even know if they claim that money for taxation purposes, but let's say they claim 2 suckers a day. As big as the world is, many people that want relationship with a certain particular person or whatever, so they get 2 suckers a day. So let's say $50 a pop, so it's $100 a day. So you take an average of 30 days in a month times $100 is $3,000 a month for basically doing diddly squat. You're not doing anything. You're not really working. You're not even creative. You're not doing nothing. All you're doing is telling. You're a con artist. You're a bullshitter. And you're just telling these fantasy stories, kind of like a romance novel type thing, to suck people in, and give people what they want to hear, and you're making money off this. I think it's disgusting. All these people are doing that. Just get a real job, right? Even if you have your own business, at least you're doing something that's real. Whether you're a creative person or a physical person, or work for somebody else. What's wrong with working for somebody else, right? That's what you need to do. But these people are predators and opportunists, and they are preying on your needs, which they see as weaknesses. And that's disgusting. It's totally disgusting. And I don't even know how they can do some of these videos. You see the person, some you don't. How they could do it with a straight face is beyond me. That's how far some people will go to make money because they don't want to work. Because maybe they think they're too good to work. It's just disgusting. That's all it is. So, like I said, don't fall for this nonsense. Bottom line is, if you're really meant to be with someone, then it's going to happen. If God wants you to be with a certain person, He'll make it happen. Circumstances will be arranged, rearranged, whatever you want to call it. Unrequited love is not love. Being ignored, rejected, played around with, that's not real love. That's actually a waste of time. In some cases, it's an abuse thing. It's just a sneaky way for the devil to waste your time. Because these people are wasting their time on something that's never going to come to anything in reality. And this bullshit about this 3D and 5D, what a bunch of crap. It's like there's 2 separate realities. That's not true. When you're here on the earth, you're living in a physical body. There is no separate dimension. You're on the earth. What you see is what you get. Your day-to-day life, that's what's real. No matter how boring it is, or if it's not going good, that's your real life. It's not some pretend 5-dimension crap where you pretend that you're with this person or whatever and you're not. Yeah, whatever. Just I don't know. I just think people just cut it off, just analyze it and bring yourself back to reality. Realize this isn't real. This is stupid. It's just a fantasy. That's all it is. It's like reading some stupid romance novel if you're into that. Actually, you know what? If you really had to, I don't really agree with those romance novels. I think they're dumb. But if you really had to, read some of those to get yourself off of this obsession with this twin flame crap, just to wean yourself off. It's like going from the baby bottle to the sippy cup before you can drink out of the regular glass. Do something, whatever you have to do to get away from that. And by all means, don't give anybody your money. Like I said, you listen to something and then they want to charge you to listen to it. It's like a teasing type thing. They're just doing it for the money. And they're preying on your weakness. They're a predator. That's what they are. They're a predator. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.